There are so many agile operating models out there. Scrum, Kanban, Scrumban, XP, so many out there. What is the best for your team? In this video, we're going to uncover the pros and cons of each operating model. So we'll go into the details of each operating model, the advantages, the disadvantages, the time to market, more than the decision tree. So hopefully you're excited for this video. So now let's go into the details of these operating models or life cycles. So the first one we talked about is serial. That's maybe traditional waterfall. So in this table too, before I go into this, is that we have the operating or life cycle, you have the team type, time to market, so how fast you're releasing some market, some advantages, some disadvantages, and then when to use. Just we kind of look at what we just covered in the decision tree, but maybe a little more details. First one is serial. So this is project, so maybe it short duration. That's kind of what it's referring to as project there. Time to market slow. So we understand this is slow. I know there's a bunch of data, there's a bunch of pitches here. I'm not here to pitch to that. This is really just to show you the advantages and disadvantages and let you decide which ones you want to pick. Really, disadvantage is that you're familiar with this before. You've done this project before, and maybe you're not transitioned to an agile lean way of working. Maybe it's new. So you might want to use what works best for you. So disadvantages, this is where I think all the data comes in, and a lot of people already have videos and stuff on this, but high risk, takes long feedback, you have to do a lot of rework, and it really hurts, schedules. So unless you've done it before, then, or maybe you're comfortable with it, there's still a lot of disadvantages that you can see. So again, you can take when to use low risk situations, when requirements are stable, maybe upgrading, and you have an example here of like upgrading workstations for a large number of users, constructing a business office. You might have done that plenty of times. Waterfall works perfectly. Let's go to the next one, which is program. We talked about that. That's project. Time to market is medium compared to all these. And really it gives you to organize a bunch of teams in a large fashion. You could think of this and you could see here that actually these sub-teams pick their way of working. And so what happens here is that you still have the flexibility of picking your way of working, but the thing is that the coordination between the sub-teams can be difficult. It becomes a challenge to coordinate these teams, and I have to go into this link that I have in the reference column here to understand more over here on the right hand side, to understand a little bit more. I'm going to go in details to see the differences, because this one is a viable option as well. And you can see this is good when you have a very large initiative and people want to use their way of working. If you haven't done already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like the video. If you want more content, you can work with those teams. You can kind of think of this as like a scaled agile type of set, right? Where you have multiple teams doing different things, but as you coordinate together and you organize a larger project. Let's go to Agile. So this here is Scrum, we can call it, just to make sure we're all aligned here. We can see this is project type, so maybe a short duration. Medium, so medium time to market, very similar as the last one. Straightforward cycle based on Scrum, easy to use, very prescriptive. Disadvantages is there are iterations. So it motivates the teams to build in those batches, the weeks, the months, depending on what your sprints are. And then also keep in mind that maybe releases still come longer. They're still maybe months apart. And then when things change, often it's tough. You're planning, hey, I broke my sprint, I have too many story points, and they keep on slipping and keep on being pushed to the next sprint. So those are disadvantages, maybe destroys team morale. So those are some disadvantages. This is good for a starting point to Agile. Very prescriptive. Here's what you do. You have a daily standard. This is when it occurs, etc. Let's go to the faster ones. So everybody wants to be fast. So let's look at the fast ones, and the very fast. So the next one is lean. You can think of that as kind of Kanban. Again, this is a project type. Really, just think of this one as functionality is released when it's ready to go. And the work needs to be prioritized. So it keeps on prioritized, maybe changing requirements, support like team. And remember, keeping that lean mindset, small batches, little's law, to increase and improve flow. Remember that there's disadvantages. It is faster, but it actually requires great skill and discipline compared to the Agile lifecycle. Remember, you need to have discipline. If you're not able to have discipline in Agile, there's no way you're going to be in Lean. I think Lean and Kanban, people think it's easier, I don't have to plan, this is the way to go. But really, if you're going that route, making sure that you have the skills to actually execute on it. When to use when disciplined teams have evolving requirements. So maybe a support-like team. You can see here as well, we have 2 continuous ones. Continuous Lean, continuous Agile, and exploratory. Let's talk about the exploratory first. So exploratory Lean startup, remember, it's very inexpensive. You're just validating business experiments, low risk, new business strategies, right? Just a startup. That's what it is. Disadvantage of this, it requires a customer base to start with, like who's your target market, and validating that. There might be some situations too that when it's highly regulated, it might be a little bit more slower and difficult. So keep that in mind. And then it says again, often perceives as a strategy only for startup companies, but to be honest, big companies can have small incubators or small tiger teams to actually have the same functionality as a Lean startup and get some of the pros as well as disadvantages from this model. So when to use, when there's a new product or service, when there's a high risk of misunderstanding the potential needs of users. So if you're really thinking like, oh, I know these users, and you're building a lot of features off of something that's not validated, maybe you're wasting a lot of time, wasting a lot of money when you want to go faster. If you haven't done already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like the video if you want more content. So from the last 2 are this continuous delivery, right? We get Agile and Lean. And these are very similar to its counterparts, so Agile or Scrum and just Lean. The only difference is that this one has a pipeline, has a DevOps or automated pipeline. So really important that there is some steady flow of functionality. You can see in Agile, regular at steady flow, typically weekly. So you're saying in this continuous delivery Agile operating model that you're deploying weekly to production, to customers. So it's very important. Some disadvantage, you need some skill, you need some teams that have been with each other for a while and have very mature product stacks. So again, when to use long running teams, and then we can look at the Lean one and we'll see the differences, and you can see the advantages here. This is the fastest, very fast, because you're putting Lean and you're getting automation. So you're getting the 2-in-1 here. You see typically functionality 1 or more times a day. Wow, that's fast. So very small, very fast, a lot of automation there. Requires a lot of testing, automation, automated testing, integration, deployment. So a lot of upfront thinking there. Really that DevOps mindset, and requires discipline. You can see when to use long-running disciplined teams that are very disciplined, they know Agile, they've been with each other for a while. You're able to have more flexibility. And what that gives is more freedom in the hands of the teams to deploy to customers faster and innovate. If this is interesting to you, please subscribe. Helps create future content. So like promised, I'm going to give you a couple options on how you can pick your way of working or your operating model within your team. First thing I'm going to do is provide you with a decision tree. So there is also a table that I'm going to go through and give some pros and cons of each and some benefits as well. But this is maybe a starting point. If you're new and you don't know where to go, let's just start here, and then we can take a look at the pros and cons shortly. So the first thing at the top is, has someone chose a lifecycle for you? So again, this is the decision here. Sometimes that's the case. You have no choice, and the only option is you keep it as is, or you convince them. Right? Hopefully this video can help you provide that data, or just showcase maybe there's some other options we can try out going forward that might help and improve efficiency or our plan or deployment to market. So really important here. So you can go down. The second decision would be, maybe someone has it, so maybe you get some options. So the question would be, do you understand what customers want? So if you don't, then that's exploratory. And we'll explain a little bit about that later, but you could think of that as like a startup. You're trying to just figure out what customers want and validate that. And so you're kind of working a little bit ad hoc and a little bit chaotic, I would say, just trying to get things done and understand the customers. So you can go down here, if you understand what they want, you can say, is this a large program or a team of teams? So, or is this a large program requiring a team of teams? Yes. Hey, maybe a program is for you. You could think of this too like maybe a traditional program. And And we'll go here and we'll show the difference between a serial and in a program, but you can think of the differences like, how the testing occurs. In a program, testing can occur as needed with teams of teams. Meanwhile, the serial is done in a fashion where maybe you're gathering requirements, you're creating documents, and then you're validating testing at the end. So keep that in mind, the differences, at least for this video. Let's go down this decision tree. So let's say, is this large program requiring a team of teams? Maybe no. Is this being funded by a project? We'll just say yes. Is this low risk, something you've done before? We'll say yes, we've done it before. Does this team have traditional skills and mindsets? Yes. So you can see here, maybe serial is for you, or we can call it waterfall. That may be the case. I'm not sold on waterfall or agile. I'm sold on whatever works best for your team. So keep in mind that is an option, and that might be work best for you. Let's keep on going through these decision trees to kind of get to the other ones. This is a low risk or something you've done before. We'll say no. Do you face rapidly changing requirements or priorities? Yes. Hey, lean, also widely known as Kanban. So that might be for you, which is pretty wide known. Things that are changing really quick, it's hard to plan. So let's just prioritize a list of things and people pull from that. Let's go down to go to the other ones. Does this team have an agile mindset? Maybe agile is for you. We could say, for this purpose, to Scrum. Let's make it more specific, maybe something more relatable. So really do it. So just doing Scrum. So that might be the best for you. Let's go over here on the left-hand side. So this is kind of where it gets a little bit more advanced, we could say, because there's some questions here. Do you want to release often? Yes. Do you need to release very frequently? Yes or no? So you can see here that these are more advanced options, because you can see they have a corresponding other framework here, just not continuous. You can see here as well, this is continuous lean, continuous agile. And we'll go over that in a little bit, but you can think the difference is that these teams maybe have automated deployment pipelines for the code. So you could think that in maybe testing. So they're able to do it much quicker. It's automated. Someone's not manually pushing the code, and there is some automation there. But overall, same thing minus that piece. So now that we covered this decision tree, hopefully that helps with if you're getting started. We hope all of you enjoyed the video. Hope it gave you some data maybe to help out your team or have those conversations with your leaders to maybe pick the operating model lifecycle that's best for you. I'd like to hear what all of you are doing that's working for you in your Agile or your teams in the comments below. Love to discuss and hear what's working for you, what operating model works best for you and your teams, or maybe your program, or your teams of teams, and how they correlate. So love to hear and discuss, and see you in the next video. Stay Agile-ish.